Hi and welcome to this tutorial on how to record audio in Logic Pro. If you're looking to unleash the full potential of Logic Pro, be sure to check out my course at store.monidewmedia.com. In today's episode we'll be focusing specifically on the audio recording basics of Logic Pro, and you will get a great idea of what the course will be like. So let's dive in and learn how to record audio in Logic Pro. So we'll record some acoustic guitar into a microphone and we'll look at how to set this up in Logic. First, we need to make sure that we have our main audio interface selected for Logic Pro. To do that, we can press Command and Comma to open up the settings screen and go to the Audio tab. And just make sure that you have your main audio interface selected for the inputs and the output device. In my case, it's the Centur audio interface. Okay, so we need a track in Logic Pro to record our audio. And to create a new audio track, we can press the plus sign here, which will bring up the Choose Track Type settings. And if we press the Audio tab, we get to select which input we will use for this new channel. Now don't worry about the settings here, because we can always change the inputs and outputs of the tracks later in our project. So just press Create. And now we have a brand new audio track in our Logic project. Now select your newly created track by pressing the track header in the workspace. And if you look in the information panel, you now have a volume fader for this specific track, which will control the output volume from the track. And we can also select the input for this track. It's currently set to input 1, which is basically the same input as my microphone. And if you look on the left side of the input, you see this little ring. That means that it's a mono channel. If you press the circle, it turns into a stereo track. You can see it now reads input 1 and 2. At any given time you can change the inputs for an audio track just by pressing this input button and go down to inputs here, and here we can see all the inputs that our audio interface provides. And for this track I'm going to do a mono track, since we're recording with a single microphone, and from input 1. Further down the line we can see that the output of this track is set to stereo output, and that can be good for now. Next up, we need to set up the audio interface gain on our audio interface, and this really differs depending on what kind of microphone you're going to use for your recording. If you're using a dynamic microphone like this Shure SM58, you will not need what they call phantom power, which is some extra juice, some extra voltage and power to power the microphone. On the other hand, if you're using a condenser microphone, like this Baby Blue bottle from Blue Microphones, or the Neumann TLM 102, you will need phantom power. So keep in mind, if you're connecting a condenser microphone, you need to activate the plus 48 volts phantom power on your audio interface. To make sure you don't destroy your microphone or get some disturbing noises in your studio, it's recommended to first connect the cable to the microphone, and then afterwards activate the phantom power. And then finally you can adjust the input gain on the gain knob for the specific channel. Here we have my audio interface, and I'm gonna adjust the input gain for the preamp so that we land around -12 dB for the level readout when I play the guitar. Now don't forget to readjust the input gain if you're gonna play louder sections. So that's a little bit too hot signal. So here I'm readjusting the input gain so we get a less loud signal, because you don't want to hit into the red. The numbers you see here is the level readout or the true peak readout from the audio input. And you can reset this calculation if you press the numbers. It's a really helpful tool when you're adjusting the input gain. If you're recording too hot or too loud, you're gonna get a distorted audio signal. So make sure to readjust the input gain. Much better. final step before recording is tuning the instrument, and luckily Logic Pro has a built-in tuner. With the guitar all in tune, we activate the metronome and lower the tempo to maybe 89 BPM and press R to record. Now don't worry if you don't get it right the first time. Just press the spacebar to stop, then press Command Z to undo, and press Enter to return to the beginning, and R to record again. Now notice here that during playback we don't see any readout on the level meter for the track. And that's because the record enable is activated. And the level meter is currently measuring the audio input. And we just need to disable the record arm button on the track to be able to see the level meter readout for the actual recorded audio. Nice!